Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is once again Friday night on the bus. So, of course, you know what that means. It's time to get that Friday feeling, and I get a funny vibe that I think there will be quite a good Friday feeling tonight. Because, of course, there was some interesting breaking news tonight before, of course, we came on, which we'll be definitely talking about. It was in the title of the show. There's been a resignation at Celtic tonight. Two resignations, in fact. Two people put on gardening leave. So we'll be getting into that. And, of course, the title race continues on. An emphatic victory on Wednesday night over Dundee shows that Celtic are still fighting for this title. And of course, now it doesn't get much easier. We've got a trip to Tynecastle to talk about on Sunday. And as you can see, I'm joined by two people. And for the last few weeks, me and Liam have been holding the fort on a Friday night, but we're also joined by, it's been a while since he's been on. And fun fact tonight, both of these gentlemen are in the same time zone tonight. They are both on West Coast North American time. They are both 8 hours behind us. Because, Johnny, where are you tonight, sir?
Well, I'm currently in Long Beach in Los Angeles at the minute. Heading back to the other side of the world tomorrow. No, later on tonight, actually. Get back tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock, hopefully. So, yeah, I've had a nice couple of days out here. Fly out and then get a couple of days off, just doing a bit of sightseeing. Yeah, enjoying a bit of warmth. Gets a bit cold at night, but it's nice through the day. It's nice at the minute, actually. So, yeah, having a good time.
I bet it is. How's the weather in Vancouver? Liam, how's it doing up there in the Great White North?
Oh, it's warm, but it's rainy today. So, it's the usual. It's like Glasgow, but warmer. That's what it is, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely we're coming out of winter now, heading into the springtime, because it's now March. That's us officially heading into springtime, and hopefully Celtic are about to spring a title challenge, because God knows we need it. But yeah, before we do all that, folks, of course, remember to do all that good stuff that helps us out here on the bus. Help out algorithm CSC. Hit that like button, maybe even hit that dislike button if you want. Slag the hair, as Russell always says, whatever you want to do regarding that. Get involved in our comment section. Obviously, share the link in the Bhoys bus. Subscribe. We're heading towards 5,000. That's the next milestone for us. So we'd obviously appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification. You'll be reminded when the bus is on the road. And of course, you can head over to piesports.com. Use the code BUS1888. Get yourself 12.5% off your order for your tasty pastry treats. And with all that said and done, all the good stuff out the way. Yeah, let's get into it, guys, because I said at the top of the show, big breaking news tonight. Lawwell resigns, but it's not Peter Lawwell, it's Mark Lawwell, the mysterious man, as Marc Cairney tweeted tonight. Have you ever known a club that you can't get an official picture of this guy? There must be the same two pictures flying around of him that have been taken on, obviously, mobile phones or something. He's been a bit of a mysterious one in the background, just a name that we keep hearing, Mark Lawwell, but yes, he is gone. And also the head of, one of the other head scouts is away, a guy named Joe Judgement, who I didn't even know who that was until tonight, but he's away as well. Not to alarm you, of course, but Lee Congerton has left his position at Atalanta tonight over, and so drawn to that, you draw your own conclusions here, guys. I'll try to panic you. But yes, Mark Lawwell is resigning. He's on gardening leave, I believe, until the end of the season. So he's still picking up some kind of pay. But yes, Johnny, initial thoughts to this? Is this obviously, I imagine, a good thing? Because naturally fans have been pointing a finger squarely at Mr. Lawwell and his dad about what's been going on at the club. So obviously, but for me, I don't know if you feel the same, but I need to see what the next step is, because, I mean, who knows? Maybe another Strachan will spawn from nowhere and will become the head of recruitment. Who knows? I need to see what the next move is. Obviously, the initial signs are, okay, this seems like it'll be a good thing. But yeah, at the moment, I'm still not getting too excited, because I don't trust this board and this club at the moment to make the right move. But we live in hope.
Yeah, like you said, it was good news, but it was hardly surprising news. I mean, it's been bubbling up for the last at least week, 10 days or so that this was going to be happening. So yeah, that was good news. And as you said there, what Mark said, I mean, no, I don't think any of us would recognise him if he got on the bus with us. You know, you might not be trying to panic as Phil, but I think you might be when you mentioned Congerton leaving Atalanta tonight, yeah, because
I'm just saying
that's a bit of a concern. It's just, it depends whether you believe in coincidences or not, doesn't it? But he didn't cover himself in glory when he was here before under Brendan, and obviously he's one of Brendan's mates. Brendan appointed him the last time. I think, did he not work at Leicester with Brendan as well for a little bit? I can't remember. I think he did, but so that's so you have, so you know, club Celtic, the club that gives with one hand and takes away with the other sort of thing. And we might just be getting ready to do it again. Give us a bit of good news and then not so good news. So I'm not looking forward to that if that comes to pass. But yeah, good news to wake up to this morning out here in LA. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it's interesting to say it came, because there was a few stories a couple of weeks ago. I remember seeing initial sort of talk again. Somebody out there has heard something and it begins doing the rounds that it was going to happen. But my initial thought when that was going, I think it was still the transfer window was still open. But it was like, well, why is it all talk about to be going at the end of the season? Why not just go now? But yeah, it turns out they will be on gardening leave until the end of the season, so they're still picking up some kind of pay there. But Liam, I don't know if you saw the announcement from Celtic or the statement about it, but they did make a point of mentioning that Ange Postecoglou pushed for Mark Lawwell's appointment. Yeah, bit of a sneaky one there. They're getting that one in there just to remind you. Oh, by the way, the almighty Ange, who none of you criticised, he called for this. And I know Ange did name drop Mark Lawwell. I do remember press conferences early in Ange's time about, you know, I worked with him in the City group and whatnot. But yeah, they did mention in the press, the released statement released tonight to the press about, you know, Ange appointed him, or Ange pushed for him to be appointed. So they're just trying to sort of, look, you know, look, he was actually good, you know, he was highly recommended because I said it, but again, you can't really fool us. We just watch what we see on the park and what we've seen with our own eyes, and you can't really, you know, justify that he's been a rousing success, Liam.
Oh, Chris, no, it's like the way what you said there about the fact that it was the opening of the second paragraph. I mean, that's where they think we are absolute mugs, right? And so, you know, you work in communications. Anybody that goes to meetings, you understand what your talking points are and the points that build your narrative, and that's one of the hooks that we need to get in there and make sure you get into the press release. We need that as a parachute right now, because that's the only thing that will maybe unite the fans. Oh well, you know, we all miss and love Ange now, but but it's just so transparent. You see right through it, right? So let's see what happens then. Maybe Ange loves him. We'll see. Let's see if he ends up with Ange. I'd be willing to bet it, doesn't he?
Yeah, boys. Is he going to end up down? Well, if Ange does love him, he's going to end up at Spurs. I hear there's a Willy Wonka job going in Glasgow if he's interested in that. That's been all over the news this week. Him and this Dungeon guy, they could become Oompa Loompas if they want, because yeah, that's all over the place right now. But yeah, it's an interesting story. We'll see the next move for me is the key, Liam.
What?
I says the next move is the key for me when it just comes out. As I say, it's just like, it's great that he's gone, and hopefully this is the beginning of some kind of big overhaul, modernising the club. But yeah, I need to see what the next one is, and it looks like we're not going to find out until the summer anyway. I mean, I don't know if they're going to announce it in some way in advance that this guy will be taking over the role. They might. I mean, hopefully we see a bit of progress. You know, so they tell us what's happening in advance, but got a funny feeling that yeah, we're not going to find out anytime soon until summer. But yeah, it's hopefully it's not a case of the damage already done in terms of what's left of this season, because we'll touch on it then before we talk about obviously the game going forward, the Hearts game. We'll talk about the Dundee game there through the week. Yeah, a hell of a performance. I was at the game on Wednesday night, and yeah, the people are talking about the roar at half time as the players came off. I know it's been getting a little bit ridiculed in some corners of the internet from fans of certain other clubs laughing at it, saying, I bet your soul was crushed when you said that we won down at Kilmarnock. And it's like, yeah, but you're not seeing the bigger picture here. The football has been pretty brutal at Celtic for most of the season. It's just not really clicked. But when you see a performance like that, fans are going to show their appreciation for it. There's nothing wrong with it, because a lot of fans, Celtic fans, were throwing in the towel, Liam. They were thinking that, this team's ran out of puff, they've ran out of momentum, they're just going to hand this title to Rangers. But obviously with 10 games to go now to put in a performance like that, where they just looked up for it from the very start. And it's like, well, if you've got that in you and there's 10 games left to go, they've just got to keep this going now, because it is still in our hands. But my God, they need to maintain this. Maybe that late victory last week against Motherwell has been the catalyst, Liam, but they certainly did carry it into Wednesday night.
I thought they played good. But, if you watch this podcast and some of the other ones, what Brendan did with that team Wednesday night was to do what everybody's been asking them to do. And what we've said all along, that these are the deficiencies, these are the problems in the team. I thought Awata made a huge difference. I thought the fact that both our fullbacks were actually crossing the ball into the areas that were dangerous, trying to get the ball to the strikers first time in that made a huge difference. But that's all the points that we've made, day after day, week after week on these podcasts. That's what we need to start doing, that we needed to get that urgency back, where we're taking quick throw-ins, where we're getting the ball, we're keeping it moving. And you could see that, American word, hustle, right? You could see that coming back into the team, where the guys would just keep go. That's the first time I've seen we'll never stop this year. And just like when we did with Andrew, took the foot off a bit in the pedal, in the second half, merely the execution, but it was still entertaining. There was still chance to showcase some new people to come in. I thought Kelly's goal was fantastic. What an absolute peachy goal for your first ever goal in front of your friends and your family and all that, and Celtic supporter. It had a bit of everything. That was box office. That was what we've been looking for ages. I really enjoyed it, and it was great. Got to have a drink in the middle of the day watching it in the pub as well. Christ, we're built for night games, I think Scottish football looks better under the lights as well. That's something you should consider with our TV deals and that. Get some of these more midweek games. Look better, sound better atmosphere, everything, and we seem to respond. So I was well happy with that game.
Oh, it certainly made going out on Wednesday night worthwhile to go to the stadium, because when I looked at the fixture list, I was like, oh God, Wednesday night game in February against Dundee at home. Oh God, who scheduled that one? These games are usually a bit of a stinker, but my word, they certainly gave us something to enjoy that night. And Johnny, crosses into the box and headers. I haven't seen that this season at all. I mean, it started with Motherwell last week, where I said that to Terry on PMP. I was like, we've got a guy now up front, 6'3", big lump. Although I do think he has got a bit of ability. I say lump, but it sounds a bit, derogatory to just call him that, like he's just some big clogger. I do think Ida has got something to his game, but at the end of the day, he's got a height advantage. Put crosses in the box, play to his strengths, and again, we saw there on Wednesday night, the first 3 goals were all crosses out of the box. Ida did score one of them, Carter Vickers scored another, and Riley running in with that late run into the box, throwing himself at it. Another good ball from Greg Taylor, who also scored, by the way, Liam. Yes, he did. But yeah, I mean, it's a time where, Johnny, they've got to mix it up. Whatever Brendan was trying to get them to do up to now, let's be honest, it hasn't really worked and clicked. It's do or die now. It's basically whatever he's got to do, whether he doesn't particularly like it or not. It's like, maybe give the players a wee bit of freedom, a chance to go out there and just be like, do what you feel is right in that moment. Say on Wednesday night, it was like watching a different team, the way we were playing, and say swinging these crosses into the box. It was like, that's not us at all. Usually it's like, keep passing it sideways till a space opens up. And even when a space opens up, pass it sideways again. It was so refreshing, Johnny. But yeah, it's a type of performance we needed at this time to really get the support, sort of like back on side and galvanise them a bit.
Oh, definitely. Like the as I said to you before we came on, I didn't actually see the game, and I've only seen little bits of the highlights I could find on YouTube. But I did have a Kilmarnock supporter keep me up to date on how the game was going as we were flying across from Heathrow, and it's just sounded like we were a completely different animal. After the Kilmarnock game, I just thought to myself, we're obviously in real trouble here, and it's about time we need to set the dogs of war free. The only problem was I didn't think we had any, but it might have just proved me wrong on Wednesday night, and let's hope that we're finally turning the corner, and we're not going to skid off halfway around the bend as we've done consistently this season. The football, like you said, has been absolutely woeful. boring to watch. When you've been watching the game, you end up picking your phone up and seeing what's happening on Facebook or whatever, or going through and getting yourself another beer or a coffee, whatever your drink happens to be. It's just been woeful, and it just seemed that on Wednesday night, from what I've heard, from what I've read, from what I've watched, it sounded like, and it looked like, they finally woke up and things have clicked into place on Wednesday night. Players, I mean, Yang and player of the match, man of the match award, not normally a phrase you hear or expect to even think. And apparently did he get the man of the match on Wednesday night? He did, didn't he?
Got the man of the match in the stadium. Yeah, he got one assist out of it all, which was for Kelly's goal. But he was very good. He did play very well.
Yeah, and it's just everything seems so much fluent and quicker from, as I said, the limited highlights I've seen. When you compare it to the first half performance against Motherwell, the second half performance against Kilmarnock. Obviously, I've not been on since any of those two games, but I might remember thinking in the 62nd minute against Kilmarnock's best attacking move, and then never even touched the ball, was Celtic just passing the ball about to each other and getting deeper and deeper into their own half. And they didn't score off it, obviously, but they came very close to creating a very good chance from it, and it was all down to our own doing with this sideways passing backwards and forwards to Scales and Welsh, which was doing my nutting. Get the ball forward. There's only one way to score goals, and that's getting the opposition's half in penalty box, and we just haven't been doing it with enough pace or direction or precision all season. And it sounds like Wednesday night everything dropped into place, and hopefully that's going to be, this time is going to be the kick on, and we're going to get through there. Yes,
this is it was definitely the type of.
Can I just say, Phil, before you go, I'm having some serious issues with my volume on the phone. I'm having to use my mobile phone, and I don't know why, but I'm having some serious issues with I'm having trouble hearing what you are saying, actually. So I'm going to continue messing about with it and see if I can sort it. But being a bit of a technophobe, I don't know what's going on with it. But it's typically it's been perfect every time I've used it this weekend. But it's just having a bother at the minute. So just so you know, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. No worries. I'll continue talking to Liam. No problem at all. Just take as long as you need. But techie gremlins, what else is new? They're always out to get us in some capacity. But Liam, interesting start from Wednesday night. 7 goals, 7 different goal scorers. That is quite a feat in itself. But obviously CCV, Ida, O'Reilly, Maeda, Taylor, Calmack scored, and obviously you touched on it, the goal for Daniel Kelly, who I think I just want to bring his performance up. He came on at half time for obviously McGregor, and we will get on to, there's a story about McGregor and why he did go off, which, oh God, it's just not the type of story we need right now. But yeah, Kelly did come on, and I have noticed that since the turn of the year, since January, obviously with David Turnbull leaving, I've noticed that Kelly has been consistently in match day squads, but he's kind of went under the radar. I think because Rocco Vata is the one that gets most of the attention because he plays in a more attractive position, being a winger, an attacker. He seems a bit more skillful. Kelly's a central midfielder. He's been on the bench for pretty much every game. He came on against Bucky Thistle, if I remember correctly. And that was his first league appearance there. And his finish was absolutely top draw. It really was, because I said earlier on, talking about, the way we play, it's always passed sideways. And even when a shot opens up or a chance opens up, still passing it sideways. But, Yang zipped that ball across and the boy just runs onto it. And it doesn't feel like he just threw his foot at it and just thrashed at it, just a power shot from outside area. Proper finesse on that there, the way he bent that right into the top corner, just first time effort. And it's like, that's it. These chances open up, and the amount of times we don't have a shot at goal from just outside the area, whatever. And it was very refreshing to see. And I was chuffed for him. And I'd like to think that the way he's being managed, just sort of like, getting a bit of match day experience, being on the bench and whatnot, and getting that goal and getting a chance. Maybe, he could be the sort of, the next type of, I'm not going to say he's going to be like an Aidan McGeady or James Forrest or Kieran Tierney level, but we definitely do need a fresh crop of, homegrown players. We did the episode on the Friday Feeling a few weeks back talking about when it comes to transfers, we're going to have to look at homegrown players. We can't keep renewing the Anthony Ralstons and the James Forrests of the world with our contracts. So if somebody like Kelly can, get himself in there, say if he's been consistently in our first team match day squads, it's not like, he's had one appearance on the bench, you've just sent right back to the B team. He seems to be in and around Brendan's plans to stay, and chuffed for the lad, great finish.
It's like one of the Freaky Fridays where maybe he's changed bodies with James McCarthy or something like that, and because he seemed to have he played like James McCarthy. I thought when I seen him play, I thought he looked, there was I don't know, he's a big boy for a start, right? He's solid, isn't he? Like he wasn't getting pushed about or anything like that. He was able to command himself, make a few good tackles, win some balls in the air. I thought it was a great debut for a young kid like that. But you're right, it does make you, it makes you optimistic that maybe we, like, stuff that we have in the youth team isn't as bad as we thought. I've read the Boston Lab coming out this week as well, where he's playing with Fleetwood Town, I believe. And he's been moved up into the midfield, which was his natural position, but we tried to convert him into a fullback. And he seems to be excelling in that midfield role and just looking like, he's changing games and all that, and they're really highly thought of. So if you look at him, maybe we're still to see something for Vata, but I don't know, after, if Jan can keep up the consistency he had in that game, we might not see much of him. So Kelly might be the guy to come through. Where it's going to be interesting is if the injury to Callum is significant, will we see David Kelly is it Daniel Kelly? Or will we see something like
David Kelly's name's on the screen right now, so that's interesting that you say that.
Is what?
David Kelly's name is on the screen right now is one of the comments. It's interesting you said David Kelly.
Aye. But anyway, I think the thing is to just manage him properly, and hopefully that this injury to Cal isn't long-term and this boy's thrown into a position where he has to try and prove it or make it at this point, because we certainly have a lot of players that can come in and replace it in the midfield, because we can move, because Iwata's already moved comfortably into Cal's slot. So, I'm not as worried about that as before. And I think Iwata showed a lot of confidence and all that. And I think the young boy benefited playing with him as well, because he's a very tidy player and he's very good at sweeping up, and it gave the young boy a bit of creativity, as we seen with that first time shot. And what a pair of balls to hit that first time, huh? Brilliant.
I know. I love to see it. As a lot of people in the comments are saying that, it's the story that we all dream of, to play for Celtic and to do that. But yeah, what a finish, get your first goal for the club. And yeah, you never know. And it could be a gem that's been sitting there all along. And it is encouraging, because the B team we have criticised more than a few times. Not necessarily all their fault, but obviously the level they're playing at and the current system they're playing at, I don't think it's that beneficial. But see, if this boy has been consistently around match day squads, then Brendan must see something in him, but he has kind of gone under the radar. So hopefully we found something there and he can continue to go from strength to strength. Wata, obviously, we need to talk about him as well, and he's going to be crucial, because I think I drew the comparison when I did PMP with Terry the other week, talking about, you look at Strachan's third season, the miracle one, where we were 7 games to go. We had to win all 7 of them, including beating Rangers twice. And yeah, we got to a stage where at the start of the season, Gordon Strachan brought in Scott Brown, he brought in Donati. That was going to be his midfield dream team. And by the end of the season, we finished with Barry Robson and Paul Hartley. And the way this season started with the midfield, the Water was definitely not in the reckoning at all. He was a forgotten man. But the performances he's put in, I think when he has got a chance, even when he got a few games before the turn of the year, Johnny, he didn't do anything wrong. He definitely didn't he wasn't the worst player, but again, he just seemed to drop off the face of the earth. He was back out the team. Brendan Rodgers just didn't seem to reckon him. But again, we're at a stage now where this guy looks a steady enough hand. It's obviously, I say with Cal McGregor now being injured though, but it would have allowed Cal McGregor a bit more freedom. I think the word Brendan used in the Motherwell game was dynamic, a more dynamic position for Cal McGregor. But yeah, Iwata does definitely sit in that number 6 role, find the front of the back line to help protect him a wee bit. And it may be a case of, right, okay, at the start of the season, Brendan, maybe Iwata wasn't in your plans, maybe wasn't the player that you wanted, but right now he might be the player that you need. And that's what it could all be about, Johnny, from now to the finish line. If Iwata's the guy that's doing the job and is the steady hand that we need and gets us over the line, Brendan, no matter how stubborn he wants to be, but I want to play this way, if that guy's working and that guy's doing a job like he has been, he has to keep his place in the team.
Oh, without doubt. And Iwata is one of these guys who he doesn't do the spectacular. He just does what's required. The simple. He's not like his mate Hatate, who likes to play a risky ball. You know, he'll take on the risky pass. But Iwata's not like that. He's quite happy to get the ball, tidy it up. And I wouldn't go as far as to say give it to somebody who's a better player than him, because he is a skillful player. But he's quite happy to play the ball, keep possession, give it to a teammate who's in a good or a better position than he is to inflict any damage to the opposition. The opposition can't score if they've not got the ball, and I think that's how Iwata likes to play his game. Just steady, get through the game, take no risks, and if Brendan's the elite manager that we all thought we were getting when he came back, then he's obviously elite enough to know that sometimes we've just got to do things differently, and it might not be what I want to do, but this is what we need to do. And as Bhoys is always saying, there's many ways to skin a cat, and if he stays too one-dimensional, then that's where the problems that we've had already this season. We've been too one-dimensional, too slow, too passive, not taking the risks and trying to play forward, and having somebody like Iwata who can, as you said, patrol across the front of the defence and protect them, and do the unglamorous side of the game, if you like, and let the others take the credit for anything good that happens to come along our way.
Yeah, honestly, if he's the answer right now, then he's got to keep his place in the team. And if Hatate comes back as well, then Hatate can obviously fill in now if McGregor's going to be injured. So we need, hopefully, he gets back as soon as possible. They're talking about could still be before after the split, which is still a good April we're talking for Hatate's return. So yeah, at the moment, I say the midfield problems after having a crisis in defence with injuries at the start of the season, we now seem to be mounting up midfield injuries at just the wrong time. But yeah, we need to be keeping a lot of fit at the moment. But let's look ahead then to Sunday, Liam. Let's talk about the Hearts game, because traditionally this is one that we always look at in the calendar and go, trip to Tynecastle, we don't. But it turns out our record is actually no too bad there in recent years. We under Brendan's first spell, he did suffer a couple of defeats there, a very infamous 4-0 loss, which ended our long-running domestic undefeated streak. That was a shock to the system that day. Didn't see that one coming. But yeah, they also beat him. I think his start his third season, they beat us 1-0. But since then, our record at Tynecastle's been too bad. Earlier this season, we did beat them 4-1 there. Funny enough, Iwata did score. If we talk about Iwata there, he scored that day after O had about 3 shots and couldn't connect with it, and then it just fell to Iwata and he just pinged at the top corner. But yeah, it was a comprehensive victory that day. Obviously, when it comes to Sunday, any victory will do. At this point in time, anything that we can get 3 points is fine. But obviously, it'd be good to just rub it in their faces a wee bit more. Especially because, let's be honest, there's no love lost between Hearts and Celtic. Of course, they did, beat us at Celtic Park. We can't forget that. They did give us a bit of a problem back in December. But see, what the boys know what is ahead for them here. They know what they need to do now. So you'd like to think that's good enough motivation. And of course, when we go through the team, Liam, starting the back line, Carter Vickers, he's back. He played obviously on Wednesday night. There was talk about he may be managed into the game, but he might come off the bench, but not. He started. Obviously, he did go off later in the game. Once the game was safely won, let's be honest, it wasn't an injury precaution. It was just a case of the game's won. No need to keep him on. And he obviously scored as well. But my God, it goes without saying, it is so crucial that we keep this guy fit, because Stephen Welsh and Liam Scales together, it wasn't really working. They were causing us more problems than they were solutions. But yeah, Carter Vickers, massive. And yeah, I can't believe I'm going to say this, Liam, when it comes to the back line. In form, Greg Taylor with 1 goal and 2 assists in his last 2 games, mate. I mean, defence is buzzing right now, Liam. Absolutely buzzing. Carter Vickers back and Greg Taylor playing some Ange ball, mate. He's back to the Greg Taylor of 2 seasons ago, mate.
He's back to the Greg Taylor against Hearts in the first minute of that game when he let a header go to when they nearly scored. So too excited about Greg Taylor. I mean, that was a 7-1 game. He's running about and staying well on that. But when it comes to defensively, they already know how to play against Greg Taylor. Shanklin's going to have him on a plate. That's my worry, is the fact that we've done nothing to fix how we got beat off them last time. And that was the balls in front of Joe Hart and attacking Greg Taylor's side. And I think Hearts would do a much better job of doing that, as Dundee tried as well, as everybody tries. But Hearts seem to get a bit more joy for it. So I'm worried about the game on Sundays, especially if Callum McGregor's not there as well, because Callum McGregor offers Greg Taylor not an awful lot of protection, not just in covering for him, but being there for that ball, that 5-10 yard ball that just likes to get shot backwards all the time. So, yeah, I don't know. If it's a Greg Taylor that's going to get balls into the box and stuff like that, yeah, I'm all for it. If it's a wee guy that's going to keep passing it back to Callum McGregor, and now knowing Callum McGregor's not there, I think we're going to have to make some. I mean, I think we've got to be brave and figure out what we're going to do with left back position. It's okay scoring in a 7-1 victory, but when it comes to a defensive game and we're in a battle, sorry, yeah, I'd love to jump on board, but I don't know. I'll get to see Greg Taylor's equivalent of my Glasgow Willy Wonka experience. That's me back.
As a case of we are talking about and passing back, we can't be playing like that now. It has to be a case of what we've been doing there in the second half against Motherwell and what we did on Wednesday night. We just need to be going at teams. We can't be passive anymore. We can't allow teams to dominate us and dictate play. We have to just be on the front foot from the start and just go for it, essentially. And I say the record at Tynecastle, it's one of those fixtures that we look at and go, oh God, it's going to be a hard one, but our record has been good recently. We need to obviously keep that going. But yeah, in the back line, say Johnny, so Carter Vickers, he's back. He's got to stay fit. He's imperative to stay fit. Johnson obviously had a good game as well against Dundee, so hopefully he can start to find some form. He briefly flirted with having a mask on, which of course we talked about Cal McGregor a couple of years ago when he had the mask on. He was brilliant, but he threw that away at Motherwell. He decided, threw it away, and he wasn't wearing it on Wednesday. He was wearing it for the warm-up before the game on Wednesday night, but he came out in the park and wasn't wearing it. So yeah, he ain't taking any precautions. He's not worried about having a fracture on his skull or anything. He's just going for it. But we need obviously Johnson to find the form that he found for that half season under Ange, because again, everyone just needs to be on it from now to the end of the season. But yeah, I think Scales, he's became a bit of a worry for a lot of people recently, but again with CCV there, I hope that will be we'll keep him calm. But Johnny, because you've not been on for a wee while, this is obviously a story as well. When we go on the Friday field, we talk about the team. To get your thoughts on this, Joe Hart. Obviously, he announced he is retiring. But I feel like we've said this for the last few weeks now on the show. It feels like not a game goes by at the moment where Joe Hart has to pull a pretty blinding save to keep us in the game, like the Kilmarnock game the other week. It could have been worse. We could have actually lost if it wasn't for a good save that he put out a couple of corners. And there was one last week against Motherwell. That boy Lennon Miller, who cost us a lot of problems. He had a point-blank header as well. And obviously, I think all of us said it, Johnny, that we felt Joe Hart probably needed replaced going into this season. But now that it's basically staring us right in the face that he will be gone at the end of the season, it's now like it's huge. And now you're starting to see the saves he's pulling out. You're like, man, maybe he was a bit underappreciated at times. Maybe fans were just kind of, what's the best way to describe it? They took him for granted a little bit, I suppose would be the best way to say it. Because some of the saves he's pulled out recently, it's like, geez, thank you, Joe Hart, for what you've done for us. And he has kept us in it over the last few weeks. So this is a Joe Hart retirement tour. Hopefully, it goes out with a bang at the end of the season, Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, I think none of us were surprised to hear that he decided to retire. Might have been surprised actually that he decided to retire, but certainly not surprised to find out that he was that he's not going to be there next season. I think we were all pretty much expecting that. The first two seasons we've had him, but he's been great for us. He's never really had to. I think you said it before, Phil. He's never had a Forster final kind of type performance because we've never been in that situation where he's had to. There's been times when he's lost a goal or two that we thought could have done better with that. But yeah, the last couple of weeks, like you said, he's stopped a pretty bad situation in any given game from getting worse. And there was one even further back when, all right, we won the game 3-1 in the end against Motherwell at Parkhead, but did he not pull off a good save in the last couple of minutes just before we broke up the park and James Forrester made it 3-1 instead of it being it was nearly 2 each, and finally, but we managed to get it to 3-1 instead. So he made it's another example of a point or 2 points that he saved for us on that day. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely time for him to be going. And I didn't think at the time when we signed Seagrass that was a good sign, and he was going to be the individual who was going to challenge Hart for his position. Obviously, that hasn't worked out that way. I'm not sure whether it's been more to do with football ability or other factors, shall we say. I haven't had too many rumours, but I've heard one or two that, you know, he does like a good time rather than football time. So it's all going to be about now the next few weeks. Once we get the football out of the way, it's going to be who's going to come in to replace him. I know who I would like, but I know who are not going to get him at the same time. But the
Liverpool goalkeeper, by any chance, is it Kelleher?
Yeah, but we're not getting him because it's just far too much money. I mean, Liverpool are talking a minimum of 20 million for that guy.
David Kelly's comment, what's on the screen? There you go.
And he's just not realistic. It's a waste of time, as we were talking about. You watched his performance last week against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup final there, and you know, and you just look at me and think, oh, yes.
Yeah, it's definitely, we're going to have to get a top draw goalkeeper for the performances he's put in. And yeah, you're right with the saves that he pulls out. He's had a few like that. And the thing is, with being Celtic goalkeeper, I see it myself going to the games. There are many matches where a goalkeeper has nothing to do for like the whole 90 minutes. And then they just have to be sprung into life near late on or something, pull out a blinding save. Foster had to do it a lot. Joe Hart's had to do it over the time he's been. I've been in many games where, yeah, the other team's not been up the park for the whole game. Then maybe the last 5 minutes, they get a chance, he pulls out a good save. So, yeah, it's an interesting job, the Celtic goalkeeper. It really is. And, yeah, we're going to have to do our homework in the upcoming transfer window in the summer, although we had to do our homework in the previous 2 windows as well. And, yeah, we didn't quite do that. But, again, maybe tonight's news is, as Graham Williams was saying there, the departure of Lawwell could be a harbinger that the club is up for sale. He mentioned this last week. Graham Williamson, you came in and mentioned this last week. You think the club is getting ready to be sold to some sort of consortium. So he's still running with that now. But I just like to think that what's happened tonight with that announcement is there's just some kind of change coming in some capacity because, yeah, there's been a lot of problems with recruitment and it needs a massive, massive refresh. So hopefully this is a start. But yeah, Graham Williamson, second week in a row in the Friday Field, and he's came in here sort of hinting that he thinks the club may be up for sale. I still have my doubts on that one, but we shall see. So moving on to midfield, we've talked about it already, Liam. We've mentioned it a couple of times tonight, saying McGregor's obviously injured. It could be a bit of a long-term one at the moment. Apparently, he came off on Wednesday just at half-time. He just scored right before half-time as well to make it 6-0 at half-time. When was the last time that happened for Celtic? 6 goals in the first half. But yeah, he went off after scoring, and I think it's something to do with Achilles injury. So I don't know how serious it's going to be. I say there's some rumours flying around tonight. He could be out for long term, so it could be the rest of the season. Who knows? But in terms of midfield, I would expect it to be Waters obviously going to keep his place because he ain't done anything wrong. I'd imagine Bernardo's going to come back in, who, again, you know, there was a point in time where most of us with Bernardo were like, what exactly do you do? Who are you? Like, it's seriously, what do you bring to this team? But he had that little purple patch over the sort of Christmas, New Year period where he looked like, oh, this boy has got something. But yeah, he's kind of fell away a wee bit again. But I'd imagine he's the safe choice to come in there, unless maybe Daniel Kelly gets a start. I don't know if the atmosphere of Tynecastle is a good one to throw him into for his first start. But I would lean towards it being Bernardo. And obviously, O'Reilly would be the midfield 3, I reckon he'll go for Liam. Would you agree with that one?
I hard to disagree with that. I mean, he likes Bernardo. I think he still wants to see more of him. But you never know. You're Brendan, right? Like, where's McCarthy right now? Again, he's fit to play and he's disappeared. So we'll see Daniel Kelly, but if McGregor's gone, would you be no wanting more experience? That sounded exactly like we signed James McCarthy for these type of games. So, yeah, I don't know. We Odin home as well. I don't know if he's injured or no, but he's another one that'd be interesting to slot into the midfield. But for me, yeah, it's getting a Wata playing again. O'Reilly looked to be back to his best. Johnson supporting him and Yang like tightening up that side. Yeah, so I think the one to see is just like, okay, who are we putting on that other side? And I've always thought Holmes done well, and I thought Bernardo's done well. Bernardo just edges it with a couple of goals that he scored, but again, it's make or break time for him. And we're already weak on that side. That is our weakest side by far, with Scales and Taylor and Palma and that, and we're no good. So I'm hoping whoever does come in really anchors it doing on that, and don't let Shanklin run through the middle of the park with the ball. Be able to cut him down fast, close him down, get the ball off him, and make some tackles. That's what we're much more. The offensive will look after itself, but I think Bernardo comes on. It's got like the way he played in Europe. Shut them down quickly so they're not getting the opportunities to run at us for that side.
Yeah, it's interesting though that you mentioned James McCarthy. I keep forgetting he even exists, but funny story ahead of Wednesday's game there. Somebody put a screen grab up on Twitter from whatever betting app they had on their phone, Bet365 or something, and obviously he's putting something on the Celtic Dundee game, and it had a bit in the rundown of the game, players who are out injured, and it had Jay McCarthy, muscle injury. Oh, geez, how will we cope? Forgot James McCarthy was even there. Yeah, apparently he was also injured as well on Wednesday night, just to add to that. And it's like, I can't, honestly, man, it's hard to believe that he is still at Celtic. When he signed, because when he first joined, I genuinely was like, this is quite a shrewd signing. We've always talked about McCarthy as a guy that we'd love to get at Celtic, with obviously his love of the club, and he had a pretty decent career down in England. He was always a solid enough midfielder. But my God, it's become a joke. It's become a meme now, the fact that he's still there. The last time he made any sort of game, any competitive appearance for us, was a game against St Johnstone last season, when Giakoumakis scored a late winner after St Johnstone had equalised in stoppage time. We went up the park and scored. But McCarthy was involved in the build-up of that goal. He won the ball in midfield, played it to Bernabei, who whipped a crossover, and Giakoumakis scored at the back post. So he actually contributed that day. But that's the last time he's turned out in a Celtic shirt, and it's astounding he's still there. But that, I've always said it'd be some laugh, but let's be honest, it wouldn't be a laugh. We'd all be absolutely mortified if the team sheet came out on Sunday and James McCarthy's name was in the starting lineup. We would all be so confused, like, what the hell's going on? So I think it's safe to say he won't appear, but geez, man, Brendan Rodgers would be having some laugh at that point if that was the case. No, I'd be mental if that happened. But surely in the summer, he's got to be one of the ones that's going. He has to be cut off the wage bill as quickly as possible. But yeah, in terms of up front then, Johnny, I know he experimented with trying this 2 up front, if you want to call it that, or more a modern day 4-4-1-1. You've got a forward that kind of drops off a little bit into midfield. It's all just a fancier way of saying 4-5-1, 4-2-3-1 and all that. I think he's going to stick with the one up top. I think the Hearts being a physical team, let's be honest, they have got a lot of hatchet men. I still think it's going to be Ida that will get the nod. I think, I said earlier on, this grade was a big lump, and then obviously retracted it, saying, okay, he's got a bit more to his game. Because I do think he's proven a lot of people wrong. I don't think the boy deserved as much criticism as he got, and it wasn't his fault the way the transfer window panned out. But he seems to be the guy that's catching all the strays, essentially, all the sort of bad vibes and the flack is all being aimed at him. And it's like, it's not really his fault. He's had to come and sign for the club. And I think he's doing okay so far. Say 2-headed goals as well. It's really refreshing to just see balls get put in the box and a big guy that can get on the end of it. I think we're going to need to be utilising that, Johnny, on Sunday, because I say Hearts, they're a physical team. They always like to try and rough us up a wee bit. And, obviously you were saying you were flying on Wednesday, so you didn't see all of the game, but there was a moment on Wednesday night. He did obviously get himself a bit of a stupid booking by talking himself into it, but there was a Dundee defender that tried to rough him up a wee bit, and he didn't like that, and he basically just grabbed him and just threw him to the ground. And obviously the referee pulled him up for it, and he talked himself into a booking for it. But again, he was giving it back. He was like, no, they're not going to get roughed up here at all, and say we're going to need that sort of physical side, I think, going forward in these games, because there's so many teams in this division. We've got Livingston coming up in a double-header pretty soon as well, in the Cup and the League, and their prototype player right now under Martindale seems to be just big cloggers. So we're going to need guys like Ida who could just give it a bit back to them. But yeah, for me, I would be starting them as the centre forward on Sunday. Or do you think Kyogo will come in and get the nod, Johnny?
I don't know if he will or not. I don't think he should do. I think from the very little bits I've seen of the game on Wednesday night, Ida has done enough to to at least start the game. And keep a hold of his shirt. Phil, there's nothing wrong at all with having a big lump up front, because they could be a good big lump, they don't have to be bad just because they're a big lump. And I think against Hearts and that kind of game, that's exactly what we're going to need, is a big lump in the middle there to put that ball across to. From what I've seen of the game on Wednesday night, there was a lot of cross balls getting put in from both sides. And I think that's the way Brendan's decided we're going to have to go this season, because that's what's going to work. It worked on Wednesday night, and going to have to make it work again on Sunday. So, in short, no, Ida has to stay. And I never thought you don't think you'd ever see this, but he has to start ahead of Kyogo on Wednesday night. It's going to be that kind of game. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a lot of knocks going about, a lot of physical contact, and it's not Kyogo's game, is it? And I don't know what state his shoulder's in at the minute. Because he came off with that shoulder injury. Was it against Motherwell? Come on, I can't remember which one it was. And it didn't really look that bad. When he went down and fell, it didn't look like you didn't wince when you seen him go down. You didn't go, Jesus Christ, look at that. He just went down, and then he went off, came back on him, and substituted him with his shoulder. So no, in short, Kyogo stays on the bench. Ida starts.
No, that's fair. See, I think it's with the way these teams set out against us, and we're going to have to utilise high balls, because what we've done up to now so far this season with the passing sideways, you're going to need to find other ways to just a long ball into the box. The big man can get on the end of it, hopefully, and get us a few goals there. But the guys that are going to have to supply him, at times this season, the wingers haven't quite played like wingers, let's be honest. A lot of, what was we call it, the horseshoe, Liam? There's the horseshoe passing along the back, then pass it out wide, winger decides, but passing it back the way, and it just comes right back to the centre-back, so it just goes round in a horseshoe. But Yang, obviously, he looked like he was quite willing to take men on. He still isn't really in the habit of getting to the byline. He still does that thing where he gets to level with the 18-yard box and cuts inside. Probably still needs to learn when to release a ball. I know Brendan has said that at times in interviews. He says he's still working on that, but he did look lively, and he did cause Dundee a lot of problems on Wednesday night. Of course, the other winger on the other side, Dyson Maeda, the duality of Dyson Maeda, where he scored a brilliant goal, and then the rest of the night spent most of it tripping over the ball and falling on his face and giving away silly fouls and stuff. And I'm like, that's what you get with Dyson Maeda. He is chaos. He is danger Maeda, I think was the term that Russell used way back when the channel first started. It was chaos Giakoumakis and danger Maeda. Because if Dyson Maeda doesn't know what he's going to do next, and his opponents don't know what he's going to do next, because that goal he scored though was top draw, and against one of those ones where he scores it, you're like, I didn't know he even had that in his game. The way he finished it, absolutely brilliantly, the way he turned and fired into the far corner. But we're going to need him to just find that consistent form he needs to. I know as I'm talking about him being inconsistent, but man, we need to see the good side of Dyson Maeda going forward, because out of the winger options right now, say the Abada thing is what it is. He probably isn't going to play for the club again. James Forrest, I think if he appeared, you'd be a riot with a lot of fans to say James Forrest. It's not his fault that the club keep renewing his contract and keep him around. But hey, we find ourselves in a position where he might still find his way into matchday squads. Mikey Johnson's been set out on loan. I believe Mikey Johnson also scored tonight again for West Brom. So there's a lot of fans are chirping at the bit, saying, we shouldn't have let him go. But say even Ange last season, Ange, who many fans refused to criticise anyway, he sent him out on loan for a year. So as many managers have kind of ousted Mikey Johnston. So for me, I think his race is run. And what we're left with right now in terms of wingers, Kuhn has joined, obviously. Liam, I still don't really know what we're getting there. I was encouraged by the, albeit deflected goal against Aberdeen, but he did obviously get us back into that game. But he's just not looked up to it at all so far. So at the moment, Liam, the choice of Yang is the one that's in for him, and Maeda, just for the work rate he gives you, even though it can be a bit erratic at times, it's got to be they two into the starting.
Definitely Maeda. He'll rattle them. They've got dodgy fullbacks, so I like to see Dyson putting pressure on them. Yang, I think is interesting. I think he benefits playing with Ida up front. I think he knows where he's going to be and where he's going to go. Whereas I think with Kyogo, it's more erratic and creative. Whereas Kyogo finds space that nobody think of running into. Whereas you have a rough idea where Ida's going to be, what channels and what patterns he's going to run. Whereas Kyogo, it's just he sees it and he moves that fast. I don't think Yang has a football brain to catch up with that yet. The other thing, talking about Kyogo, I always think good managers are the guys that find a way to play all your best players. I hate seeing players who aren't good playing when there's better players sitting on the bench, better football players all around. They're just positions. And I think good managers do that. So, I don't know, does he put Kyogo on the wing? Give him a shot. See how Yang plays on this. But if you're not getting any joy for him, let's put Kyogo on that wing and just get one more good player on the park that understands. He'll develop into the role, but I think Kyogo could actually make a difference out there as well. And it's just about keeping all your threats on the pitch and on the bench. So that's what I was thinking of that.
Yeah, it's something that we've called for a few times on here about it, because I think before he joined us, when he was playing for Vissel Kobe, he played as a wide forward. So I keep saying he's done it a couple of times for us, but everybody always remembers the one at Ibrox where, you know, he didn't have the best of days. He didn't. He did also put a ball right on a plate, essentially, for Odsonne Edouard, who fluffed it. That's not Kyogo's fault. But yeah, there was a game against Hearts we played just before that in the League Cup where him and Odsonne Edouard started together, Edouard through the middle and he was out wide left. Kyogo scored that day, and I think the goal Edouard scores is one of the best goals under Ange, but it's easy forgotten because it was so early in Ange's time. A great sweeping move all the way up the park with multiple players getting a touch of it, and it was all very much first-time passes, and Edouard was there to finish it. So we looked quite fluid that day. We playing, you know, a big guy through the middle, Kyogo out wide. But say most people always remember the performance at Ibrox, and he just wasn't the races that day. But say we're now getting to a point where we need to find wins, and if we have to get our best players on the park. But I think the counter to that, Liam, might be a case of, see if we're struggling in a game and, you know, Kyogo started and Ida's on the park as well, and then Brendan looks to his bench and like, what did I do here? Because still don't know, man. I mean, I want to think that, you know, he'll be a valuable player, but I'm still uncertain. Over a year later since he joined, a couple of fleeting moments here and there, a few goals off the bench, but I just don't know with the guy. Some people have made their mind up saying he's a complete write-off. Others are saying he'll come good. I'm still somewhere in the middle right now where I just don't know. And at this stage where it's like, I'd rather just deal with the players that we know what we're going to get from them, rather than taking too many, like, you know, wild cards essentially. And Otimi is still a wild card in this situation that we find ourselves in. But we're going Sunday. We'll see. I think the team at the moment, with the McGregor injury now, I think the 11 that we've been playing is started on Wednesday night will remain, apart from McGregor will be changed out for Bernardo. But if it keeps getting us the wins, then so be it. Now, before we go then, I may as well do the dreaded predictions bit. The bit that can always come back and haunt us. So, Johnny, how do you think Sunday's going to go? A resounding victory? A squeaky bum victory? Is it going to be, we keep this good run going?
I think we're going to keep the good run going. And I think we're going to win 2 or 3-0. I think Brendan's going to... He gave him freedom on Wednesday to go out and play. And I think he's going to say, more of the same, lads. Get out there and get jobs done. And when do Rangers play? They play tomorrow, is it Saturday?
Rangers play Saturday against Motherwell.
Who have they got?
I believe Motherwell.
Okay, so probably a win for Rangers. So get out there, enjoy yourselves, lads. Play football, win the game, and get a job done. I think 2 or 3-0.
I hope so, because it would just be ideal to just blow them away really quickly in the game and it doesn't go too long, because that's been my running prediction on the Friday feeling. I keep saying I think we'll win, but it'll be another ugly one. I'll say we win 2-0. I'll just go with a sort of standard 2-0 again. But I think we'll probably... I don't want to say we're going to be one of those ones where pass it around for 70 minutes and get a couple of late goals. I think we'll be relatively in control. and I'll say 2-0. We'll get the victory in the end. As long as we get the victory, that's all that matters, and the 3 points are on the board. I know people are talking about goal difference and stuff like that, but to me, just worry about the points first and foremost. Just worry about that. Liam, what about yourself? What's your feeling for the score on Sunday?
I don't know, no feeling it, Phil. 2 each. 2 each. I'm hoping we win, obviously, but I've just got a feeling that we're going to draw this one. I love what we did against Dundee, but Hearts is Hearts. It's a completely different team, and they're going to be attacking us. We had nothing coming at us the other night, and it was easy to fling all the punches, when you're the bigger boxer. But Hearts have came on, and they've got players that know how to beat us. They know how to win against us, just like Kilmarnock did as well. So hope I'm wrong. Come on,
oh
please.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. No, I mean, that's fair. At the end of this team, the way this team's played this season, Liam, it's done that to a lot of fans. Every week when we do the Friday feeling, there's usually a plethora of people come in and say, I want each draw and stuff like that. Because, it has dragged us down. People talk about, we turned the corner and stuff like that. It's like, there's 10 games to go. Why are we talking about turning the corner? This shouldn't really be the case. We should have been clicking into gear months
We should have been on the home straight, Phil.
I know. Remember back in, October time when Terry and Russell were doing PMP, and it was just after we get the late win against Motherwell and they lost to Aberdeen later in the day. Ibrox and I think Terry was saying, it's done, it's over. But of course, what Rangers did was they quite much identified that Beale was the con man that he was, although we kind of sussed that way before they did. But obviously, they stuck by him for a bit longer, and they made the change. They got rid. And it's obviously worked for them up to now. And we've stumbled and dropped a few silly points. So, we now find ourselves in this battle that we don't... The last few years, we've obviously been pretty comfortable, but we're still in there. I think Wednesday night for me showed that we're not just going to roll over and have our bellies tickled here. A lot of people were thinking that's it. Rangers are now top of the league. They're just going to go and storm onto the title. Still think there's a few twists and turns to go here. But as long as we keep doing our thing, and do what we need to do, then it's in our hands. And 2 games against them still to go. I keep harping back to Strachan's third season. There's a lot of hallmarks there. We've got a certain number of games left. We've got to win all of them, including 2 games against them. So that's the way it sits right now. So we just need to take it low. We can't think. We as fans can think a bit farther ahead, but the team and the players, they also have to take it 1 game at a time. And we go to Tynecastle on Sunday, and let's hope that Celtic get those 3 points on the board. And guys, that's us coming up to the hour now. So we'll leave it there. Another Friday feeling done and dusted. Johnny, despite the techie gremlins, but it's good to have you back on tonight, mate. Glad to be back on, mate.
Yeah, good to be back on. And just to finish off, just to say, unlike Liam, this is actually the first time in about the last 4 or 5 games that I've felt quite confident about a positive result. The last few games I've been, don't fancy this, wasn't overly surprised that the final outcomes of them or some of the performances, but I'm actually feeling quite good about Sunday's game. I'm looking forward to a lot more this weekend than I have done the last 3 or 4 weekends. So, So hopefully, Liam, you've got it wrong, hopefully, and me and Phil have got it right. So let's hope we're still smiling Sunday evening, yeah?
Johnny, one thing before I go, do put all your Gregs in one basket.
Maybe it'll be Greg Taylor that'll pop up and score the winner. Maybe he scored the winner at Tynecastle last season, that 4-3 game.
He did.
Yes, he did. Aye, so he did. So maybe it'll be a happy ground for him again on Sunday. But we will head off now, folks. So enjoy your Saturdays, what you get up to. For you two guys, you are in 8 hours behind us in a different time zone, so you enjoy the rest of your days, whatever you get up to. We will we'll be back on Sunday. PMP will be on. It'll be Russell and Terry. So again, if you're not subscribed and you want to know when PMP's on, hit the subscribe button and obviously hit that bell notification, and you'll be notified when the bus is on the road. So we're out of here. Thanks for watching, everybody. And to say, only a win will do now, Celtic. So just go out there and get it done. Catch you later.
Cheers, lads.